Hello YouTube and welcome to another program review. And we have something very interesting today. We are going to be taking a look at Muskoks program. And I say that it's going to be very interesting because he tells me that his specific lifestyle situation as it pertains to his bodybuilding and resistance training hobby is unique. 5 days a week, his afternoons are taken up by martial arts training as an instructor, so which means he has a high level of proficiency in it, and as a student. So he does boxing, which I suppose is English, Muay Thai, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And the time after work is locked down by those activities. That's what he does. To keep doing bodybuilding, and I'm just going to quote what he writes, to keep doing bodybuilding, which I also love, I wake up quite early in the morning in order to hit my true primary barbell movements of the day. I then have the position in that I can use a cable leg extension, chest press, fly or dumbbells at the gym at work during work hours, which is amazing. So after I finish my 2 barbell compounds of the day, I immediately drive to work and continue my workout using dumbbells and machines. To get to the program, as I mentioned earlier, he hits 2 barbell movements, 2 compound movements to start the workout. He doesn't mention warm-ups, etc., etc. This video is going to be very long because we're going to go into details and but this is going to be super interesting because no offense to anyone who just trains to train. I mean, that's what I do. I train for bodybuilding. But if I review your program and you're a novice or intermediate, there's not much to say. But if you have a lot of pre-existing conditions, I guess, there's a lot more that can be said about your case because I have to take into consideration that you have specific requirements. So I'm going to have to be on the ball on this one. So to go back to the specifics of what he does in terms of bodybuilding. He tells me that his main goal is hypertrophy, but he also tries to build strength. In a sense, if you want to hypertrophy your muscles, you're going to have to build strength at some point or the other. And he wants strength in certain movements more than others, which he says are the military press, so overhead press, the bench press, the weighted pull-up, the Pendlay Rows, the squat, and the deadlift. Those compound movements are pretty much all you need, save for a few muscle groups for overall development, so that's a very good roster of lifts. He does push-pull legs 6 days a week. He's chosen that for a few reasons. 2 frequency per body part per week suits him very well, which is the case for most people. He does that because of time management, because it allows him to get a lot of volume and manage his time. He wants more focus on the upper body, especially the arm, because he's lagging behind. Because his lower body is very gifted and responds extremely well to resistance training, which is amazing. If you have a strong point, this is the reason why anyone who watches Genova, his mythical rant, when he spoke about the lower body. If you got the lower body but you don't have the upper body, you have a trouble building the upper body. He was right, because having a very strong lower body is an advantage in bodybuilding, in powerlifting. Why? Because that's tonnage that you won't have to put in. So if you're very gifted in the bicep, great, you don't have to work your bicep. How much tonnage does that represent? How much did you save? Because tonnage is time. Tonnage can be converted into time, as long as intensity and volume is taken into consideration. So if the part of your body that you can lift the most weight on, that requires then the most weight to grow, is a good gifted area that grows with little time spent on it, you save the most amount of time you could save, and you could spend it on something else. So that's amazing. He says the 2 days dedicated to the upper body and the 1 day dedicated to the lower body is conducive to this goal. So he has a bias towards upper body, which is fine. He says the first movement of the day is in lower rep schemes. And the second movement is in slightly higher rep schemes. That's perfectly understandable. That's a smart strategy. That's what I do too. Strength work and then variations with higher rep ranges. And he does a variation of the primary movement. That's a way to do it. You could also modify that and do, for example, squat on one day and then weighted dips, and then you could do scrabble weighted dips, close grip bench, and then you could do bench and front squats. So you could switch the variation with the strength work if you wanted. So for example, he tells me he'll do weighted pull-up on pull 1 and weighted chin-up on pull 2. Progression scheme is very simple. He starts with a challenging weight at the lower rep range, so in the 4 to 6 reps, and he goes as many reps as possible until he gets 6 reps, and then he repeats it until all the sets are 6, which is called an evolving rep range, which is, in my opinion, the best way to progress. Then he adds weights. Okay, so let's get down to it. We're going to talk about the program. And the reason why I started by telling you about the specific prerequisites of his life, the fact that he is a martial arts instructor, is because I trust Muskoks in that he understands that he needs to manage his recovery to be able to perform at the highest level. Especially because if you're a practitioner of martial arts, you never stop learning. It's true for bodybuilding too, but you will never stop progressing, never. And he does 3 martial arts, and from what and it's every day, so it's 5 days a week in his afternoons, as an instructor and a student. So think about it. I've been in this position, not me, I was never an instructor, but I saw people who did it where they would spend, I would stay 3 hours at the gym, and they would teach the first hour and a half, and then they would become the student for the hour and a half that followed in a different sport or at a different rank. So that's the way it works. I must say, before we get into the program, that from what I see here, this is the schedule of someone who's extremely busy. Because think about it, he wakes up, does compound movements, goes to work, does dumbbells and calisthenics, works a day of work, then goes to the gym, and is an instructor and a student in martial arts. I don't know you, Muskoks, but I bet your life. I bet you feel fulfilled, because to me, this is as an adult male, this is how I do my life too. It doesn't mean that you should never rest, but I found that many people who are unhappy and feel depressed and everything is because they don't do enough. If they worked more, they would be much happier. The idea that working is slavery and it's bad for you, for me, is counterintuitive. Work is happiness. For me, that's how I was raised. So yeah, sorry for the tangent. So, we start with pull 1. You do weighted pull-ups, 5 by 5 to 8 reps. Okay. I always say on the weighted pull-up that I like to keep the intensity high and the rep range low. I think you could crank the reps even lower than that. And I think that you have a good instinct on what constitutes evolving rep ranges. I think that you would have the ability to sacrifice a bit of tonnage now and start implementing evolving sets on top of the reps. So you could be doing 3 to 5 sets of 4 to 8 reps. This might be a very wide range for tonnage, but if you manage to master it, it's going to allow for a faster progression, I think. It's going to also help you shorten the strength work on certain days. That's going to help you put more work on the variations to get more volume afterwards and compensate for the tonnage. I'm not saying do it. I think 5 sets of 5 to 8 is really good. But especially for weighted pull-ups, you could try and up the intensity a bit, because a lot of time on these movements, the payback is that in the long term, yes, you're going to have a dip in tonnage, but instead of doing this with your tonnage, right, and you're going to end up here, you might do this. but end up here. So it's going to be more variations, and it's going to take more thinking about it to do it, but it's an interesting development. After that, you do bent over rows, 4 sets of 8 to 12. I love the rep range for that. And if I am not mistaken, that's where the workout ends for you. Because that's then when you go to work. So, okay, bent over rows, 4 sets of 8 to 12. So that's your strength work. I like that. I'm not going to change anything here. Really good. After that, you're at work and you do lat pull downs. I always advise people, especially you, because you are a martial artist, replace the lat pull down by pull-ups. I know you already do weighted pull-ups, so you're good on them. If you like the lat pull down because it's a different load, it's a different stretch on the lats, keep doing them. But I must say that you could try harder variations of the pull-ups, for example with fat grips, with tower grips, or just do them fast, do them with a slow negative, do them explosively. All of these would be more conducive to your ability to perform as an athlete. That being said, I personally do not have enough experience in martial arts to be telling you how you should be training specific to your sport. So feel free to disregard that if you want. I just give you my opinion. After that, heavy pinwheel curls. I love them for arm development, and you do on them 4 sets of 8 to 12. And you cheat on the last set, which, okay, that's what you can do that if you want to. You can also try cheating on every set, meaning that you start clean. So you're going to stay in the same rep range, but you're going to up the weight so that realistically you can only do 7 or 8 reps clean, and then you start cheating. You're going to find that could wield some good results too. It's going to bump the intensity up, not going to be conducive to more injuries, and it can help your muscular development. And then after that, you face pause, 4 sets of 20. I love the rep range for face pause. It should be in the higher on the totem pole, so that's good. And then I think that's a superset. And you do cable curls behind the back. I don't know what that means, but okay. 3 sets of 10 to 20, 12 to 20. I would say, I don't know if you superset them. We're going to start thinking about supersetting stuff. I think you can superset the lat pull down and the pinwheel curls. You don't need to rest in between. And you can superset the face pulls and the cable curls. And if you do so, I would say do 4 sets of cable curls, but instead of doing 12 to 20, do 10 to 15. So that at the end of the day, the overall tonnage doesn't change, but you still up the intensity. And because you do it within a superset, it's more intense for the cardiovascular system too. Again, I don't know how much you want to actually be panting and tired during that workout, because you then have to perform in the gym during the afternoon, so it's up to you. This is going to be such a long video. I hope the battery of the phone can survive. Okay, after that, next day, and as you told me, this is a 6 days split. So it's push-pull leg, so it's PPL 2 times. So your push number 1 is military press, 5 sets of 5 to 8. For the military press, I like that rep range much better than for the weighted pull-up. I think it's potentially the perfect rep range for a rep press. And then you do pause bench press, 4 sets of 8 to 12. I have nothing to say about that. I would change nothing. I think it's amazing. You can on certain days try and switch them around. Start with the pause bench press and then do the military press, just to see if your performance changes or if the health or feeling in the shoulder changes. Just try once and see what it does. But I really like that. After that, you drive to work. You do machine chest press, 4 sets of 12 to 20, straight bar cable push downs, 4 sets of 12 to 20, cable lateral raises, 4 sets of 20, and superset with dumbbell overhead extension, 3 sets of 12 to 20. That being said, you keep adding that plus, which in my language means superset, but then the sets don't match because you do 4 sets of lateral raise and 3 sets of dumbbell overhead extension. So is the last set just lateral raises? If not, apply what I said about the behind the back cable curls. Just do 4 sets of dumbbell overhead extension and up the intensity by doing 10 to 15 instead of 12 to 20. I must say, besides cable curls, besides face pulls, sorry, I think going up to 20 you start entering that realm where your strength goes back to baseline in between the lifts. It's my bias. I think you should not go that high. If it feels good and you progress on it, do it, but it would be more conducive to progression if you stuck to the 10 to 15 or even 8 to 12 rep range, I think. So I think you can here, I don't have anything to say about that. I think it's a good exercise selection. I think I won't have anything to say about the way you target your muscles because everything falls into place from what I see. I would say the machine chest press can be superset with the straight bar cable push downs, or maybe not. You can superset your machine chest press with the cable lateral raises, so move them up, and then do the straight bar cable push downs and superset them with the dumbbell overhead extension. Because the cable push downs won't tire your long head, which the dumbbell overhead extension do. And you're going to find, and that's my personal, something I've discovered recently with nucleus overload is, especially if your triceps are a lagging area, you're going to find that, especially on presses, if I do a skull crusher within a giant set with presses, my presses get stronger because I feel like I can actually activate the long head on the press. I don't know how much sense that makes, but supersetting tricep movements is always good as long as you don't target the same heads. So give it a try. Okay, legs 1. Legs 1, you do back squat 5 set of 5 to 8. For back squat, I would say that's on the higher end of the volume totem pole. You can definitely try and do evolving set scheme on this one. So 3 to 5 sets of 5 to 8 on the back squat and see how it goes. Hip thrust Romanian deadlift, which depending on your leverages are not going to target the same muscles, but I think you know that. Because I think the hip thrust for many people are going to be more glute intensive, Romanian deadlift are going to be more hamstring intensive. You're also going to use more lower back on the Romanian deadlift. And you do 4 sets of 8 to 12. I really like the rep range. Unlike what I said for push 1, I would never switch the order of the lifts. I would always start with the back squat. But that's, again, you know how to work your muscles in a cohesive manner from what I see here. After that, leg extensions, again in the 12 to 20 rep range, leg curls, one arm cable shrugs. I don't know how good cable shrugs are. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how much stretch the cable really gives. I've always found that doing shrugs with a barbell is unmatched, but if you get results from it, keep doing it. And then you do hanging leg raises for as many reps as possible. So, here, of course, I'm going to have you superset the leg curls and the leg extensions, that's a given. As far as the one arm cable shrugs do, the thing too is, I would tell you if your legs are already big, leg extensions and leg curls are not going to be of any help in terms of injury prevention. And with the tonnage they represent, because they are so isolated on the wheels, I would say that you could do without them. If your legs are already developed enough, you don't need them. But because your upper body is lacking, you could definitely throw in more rear delt work, even though it's a leg day, who cares, right? And you could even do some light calisthenic work, like some light pull-ups or something. And that would warm you up for the hanging leg raises. So keep that in mind, maybe that would be a good thing. And the one arm cable shrugs, you do 3 sets of 20. I like that rep range for shrugs. And of course, we're going to superset that with the hanging leg raises. I'm gonna say that leg raises, as many reps as possible, I don't like it. Why? Because I guarantee you that those last reps you get at the end of the AMRAP are not quality reps because you start swinging or you start cheating and you're not focusing on the abs. I would say do your first set of leg raises, see how many you can get before the foam breaks down, and then aim to get 1 less rep for each set instead of just saying to yourself, oh, as many reps as possible. But to go back to the shrugs, the stretch is the most important component of hypertrophying your traps. So good looking out. After that, you do pull 2, Pendlay Rows. So you start with a Pendlay. A lot of my subscribers really like Pendlay Rows, which it's not a movement that I would say everyone should be doing. And you do 5 sets of 5 to 8. Okay, that's a good rep range for rows. I wouldn't change a thing. And then you do weighted chin-ups. And you do 4 sets of 8 to 12. I know that you want to be in the higher, do more volume for the second movement, and therefore you're always going to shoot for more of a higher rep range. I would say that for the weighted chin-ups, maybe do 6 sets of 6 to 10 instead. You would still get as much volume and tonnage, but I think it would be more conducive to progression. After that, you go to work, you do seated cable rows. So 4 sets, and I don't know how, I'm going to assume that it's not a problem, but I think that you're so warm by the time you get to there, so you don't really need to warm up. Seated cable row. I like that movement. You don't say whether you do it with 1 arm or 2. If you do them with 2, keep in mind you can implement a lifting rotation where you do them with only 1 arm and really let the lat stretch. You seem to do a lot of work for your lats. So I don't know if they're a strong weak point or not. If they're a weak point, keep in mind that you have to push progression for them to grow. But having a certain pattern of nucleus overload for the lats is also going to be good, meaning that, as I said before, for the legs, you can also throw in more calisthenic work, even though you're clearly strong at weighted pull-ups. Adding extra volume on certain days with calisthenics, with pull-ups, is going to add tonnage to the lats without killing your recovery. So keep that in mind, if lats is a focus. You do cable, you seem to like your cable curls, so you do cable curls, 4 sets of 8 to 12, and you do force negatives, which are amazing for the biceps, that's good. Face pulls in the 4 to 20 rep range, which is a good rep range for that. And you do dumbbell hammer curls. So a lot of focus on that day on the biceps and the arms because it's a weak point, so that's a good thing. And you've had 72 hours to recover from all the curls you did before. So you say that level of frequency is good for you, great. If you ever stall, keep in mind you might have to move to 48-hour frequency in between arm workouts. So, I'm not going to change anything here. I would say again, superset the seated cable rows with the cable concentration curls, and superset the face pulls with the dumbbell hammer curls. Saves you some time. To that, you do push 2, bench press 5 sets of 5 to 8. For horizontal press, perfect rep range, I won't touch that. Close grip bench press, which here, it's the first time where you are doing a direct variation of the number 1 lift as the volume lift. That being said, depending on how you're built, close grip bench involves a lot of tricep for some people. So if that's your case, good. And the other variation is the Z press in the 4 sets of 8 to 12 rep range. those movements are not the same, but because one is going to focus on the shoulders and one is going to focus on the arms more and the chest, it is going to give you a lot of freedom to manipulate volume and intensity to promote progress. So that's good. That's a good thing. That's a good combo. You go to work, you do pec flies, which I think are sort of, I wouldn't say they're worthless, but especially for the health of the shoulders are not the best. And you do cable overhead extension, dumbbell lateral raises, and cable rope pushdowns. So all of these are going to be working different muscles. All of these. I have a little challenge for you, Muskoks. On that day, what you're going to be doing is, you're going to do a giant set. So when you step foot in that gym, you warm up, and then you're going to do cable overhead extensions followed by not necessarily the machine pec fly. You're going to take a resistance band and you're going to do standing chest flies. Right afterwards, you're going to do dumbbell lateral raises. After that, you grab the band again, chest flies. After that, cable rope pushdowns, chest flies, overhead extension, chest flies, etc., etc. You're going to do 4 sets of that within the rep ranges that you're already doing. And after that, you're going to tell me how your chest feels. If you got a better sensation with the machine pec fly you were doing and better results, keep doing that. If you like it better, then do that. Do that in giant sets. It's going to really tax your cardiovascular system. And the good thing is that out of all of your days, this, in my opinion, with the bench press and the Z press or close grip bench, is the day where your strength work is going to tax your cardiovascular system the less. So the giant set afterwards is actually a good complement. And then the last day that you called eggs, which is legs. It's me, it's my typo, it's me, I did the egg. That you do on Saturday at home with only barbell, which at the end of the day, legs is probably the part of the body that is the easiest to work when you only have a barbell. My legs are 100% barbell movements, so I don't see a problem with that. And you very smartly, in your last day, do deadlifts, 5 sets of 3 to 5, love that rep range. Love that rep range, but it's still not a lot of room, meaning that if you can get 5 reps on the first set and 3 reps on the last set, it means that you didn't push the intensity as much as you could have. So I would say if you want to have a focus on intensity, do 4 sets of 5 to 3, or even better, what I do personally, 3 sets of 2 to 5. But that's just me telling you what I do. If it works for you, it works for you. Understand that there is room for more intensity in your rep scheme. You do front squats, 4 sets of 6 to 8. I love the rep range. Romanian deadlift or hip thrust. So again, you're giving yourself room. 4 sets of 8 to 12. Good. Pose squats, 4 sets of 12 to 20. So now I understand why you maybe don't want to push the deadlift intensity too much. Power shrugs, 3 sets of 20. So this is where you just throw all of the tonnage you can handle, because you know you're going to have a rest day to recover from it. And if I'm not mistaken, that's also a day where you don't have to go to the gym to teach. So that's good. Okay? I love that day. I mean, I wouldn't touch anything. And the thing too is it's Saturday, you're at your own gym, you can go at your own pace. And because supersetting lower body lifts is strictly harder, I wouldn't make you superset anything here. Maybe the power shrugs and the ab wells, but that's it. That's all I would have you superset. And I would add a set on the power shrugs. Do 4 sets to 20, but that's it. I love the rep range here. I think it's good. And the fact that you do deadlift, so posterior chain, then front squats, quads, then Romanian deadlift and hip thrust, posterior chain, then post squats. Most people don't realize it, but your frequency within the workout is just as important as the frequency between days, because your muscles recover within the session, which allows you to put on more tonnage. And then you tell me you do extra bicep and triceps work after the corresponding push or pull day. for more frequency and volume for the arms, because you have very long arms. Okay? I would say for that part that you just said, as far as frequency goes, it's going to be up to you. Watch my videos on nucleus overload, because I think that if you apply nucleus overload training for the bicep and tricep, it's going to be beneficial for their overall size. It's going to take time, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a big payoff. And you don't have to do it after the day, you can do it on the same day. That's the beauty of it. You say you don't work calves because you don't care about it, and that's fine. You do a lot of grip work because of bodybuilding, so you don't do forearms because you wrestle all the time also, so that's perfectly understandable. And you train the extensors. So if you have the bands to do that, I would say do it, especially because you're going to grip the gi so often that doing the opening is very important. And you train your neck when you do neck bridges and all that good stuff. And I think that because you're a martial artist, you understand the importance of training your neck. So I wouldn't do anything about it. You know best. So that's pretty much all the advice I have to do, Muskoks. I really enjoyed reviewing your program. I will pin your comments, so if you have additional questions, I will be answering your questions. And for your arms, I would say look the 3-part series I did on nucleus overload. Again, I think it's going to be very, very beneficial for you, especially if you have very long limbs. You're going to have to improve tonnage over time while also having steady volume day in and day out without burning yourself out or living in the gym, and that's a good option. So thank you for watching. Have a good day.